Right, so that's all the data views, and I think now the graphs might make more sense, because like these are just numbers. Actually, I turned it back down to 10 years. So if you kind of match this graph up with the data view for crime, then you can see, the crime that's happening now, stuff like that happening, and then you can see number of crimes and number of arrests. Number of crimes has gone down, which is good. I don't know if that's per year or per month or what the numbers are, but it's under control, I guess, for a city of 13,000. That's not bad, I don't think. Commute time used to be quite low. Let's see. So the city started there, 20 minutes to get to work. I forgot what happened there. That might be when I put in the industrial. I'm not sure what happened there, but 25 minutes to get to work? It's not great, is it? You'd think for a city this small, it looks pretty small. I mean, it's that's a building. So how much, like the simulation is a bit strange like that. I don't know how the scale works. Anyway, so the commute time is there. So it's just a function of congestion and distance. So how far people have to travel to work, and then how congested the road is along the way. That calculates commute time. Power, so how much electricity is generated and how much is being used, increasing over time. That decreases when I demolish a few of these and demolish a few of the dirty industrial buildings to reduce pollution. That also reduces power usage, but then they rebuild other things. Yeah, and I talked about power plants in an earlier video. How the fact that you can just fine-tune how much power you're generating, that's not very accurate. You can't really do that in real life. And the power, like averages like that, what happens is in real life during the day, like people use more power in the early evening because they come home, they turn on all the lights, they watch TV and they cook dinner and all that. So there's a surge in the morning, a surge in the evening, and so power use varies a lot during the day, and that's not being shown in game, and that's not really simulated in game neither. I mean, most of the if you're kind of managing a power grid, that's most of the problem is daily fluctuations, not so much long term. And long term, you can project power demand, and you can just kind of build a power plant when you need to. It's not as complicated as the day-to-day things, I think. I mean, what do I know, right? I don't manage power grids. But yeah, it's more complicated than it is in game. We can say that much. Water, again, you have this. So I used to use water towers. If you can look at these again, the water tower provides 2,400 cubic meters per month. The pump provides 20,000. So you just kind of actually I'm close to capacity. That's not very good. You just kind of use these until you can afford this, and then you can demolish those and build this. Maybe I should. Yeah, I'm pretty close to capacity, aren't I? I'm very close to capacity. Let me just put in 2 of those. Right. So water, again, it's just aggregate demand and supply. Fairly simple graph, just kind of add up the numbers and get that. Air pollution, so we gotta have a figure for for this. So that's the graphics, right? And then that's the numbers. So it kind of shot up there, then I demolished some dirty industry, and it kind of fell back down to 80. Again, these numbers, I don't know what they mean, like 0, 40, 80, 120. There's no units, so I don't know what it even means. It's not like in real life, that's not really useful at all, because pollution for the most part is local. Like if you live next to a factory, you notice. If you live 10 kilometers away from a factory, you won't notice. So having a number for the whole city doesn't really make much sense to anyone, because it's proximity counts for a lot. So I don't know what that does. Jobs and population. So this is again just addition. You're just kind of counting number of people. Although it's useful to see trends over time. Not like that though. Let me just kind of turn these on one at a time. So here we have all the residential stuff. The high wealth there, the medium wealth there, and then the low wealth there. So you can see, when you first build the city, let me just go back to here. First build the city, it's all low wealth. And then because I have the schools and hospitals, eventually the medium wealth start moving in. And then so I built one set of residential buildings, and then I built the other set. So you can see the two sharp increases. So I built one circle, and then I built the second circle. So that's the first and the second there. You can see in the graph. But then over time, the wealth increases as well because the health and the education is increasing. And at the end of this chart here, you can see the low wealth guys. They're decreasing a little bit over time, and they're being replaced by medium wealth. I don't know what that actually means in game. I mean, in real life, it may be that people are, maybe the children are growing up with good educations and then they get a better job when they grow up. Or it might mean that rich people are moving in and displacing poor people. So in either of these situations, you get an increase in the rich people and a decrease in poor people. Doesn't tell you what's happening in game, but in real life you might want to be concerned about which one it is, because if it's gentrification, which is poor people being displaced, then it's not really a good thing. If it's the poor people themselves improving their lives, that's a good thing. Anyway, so that's the residential, and if we look at the commercial, we can see a similar thing going on. That's the see that one there, the medium wealth commercial. So the low wealth kind of spikes up and down. That's what's going on there. But that's, in the long term, it's fairly constant. I don't know why it spikes up and down. So the medium wealth commercial, that one, medium wealth commercial, that one. So that's increasing over time, and that is in conjunction with that. So the medium wealth residents increases over time. So their offices also increase over time. The rich or the high wealth commercial is also slowly increasing over time. Low wealth stuff fairly constant. So you can see how the interaction between the residential and the commercial, maybe it's basically rich people get rich jobs and all that. Agriculture fairly constant. So I put in a lot of farms at the start. Let me just kind of go back to this. So I put in a lot of farms at the start, and I put in a few more farms recently. But that's fairly constant. You also notice that there's a very very slight decline until near the end there where I put in more farms. Very very slight decline. So as people get richer, they stop working in farms. Although it's not really that dramatic here. Like if your city completely loses all its poor people and it turns into a middle income or a high income city, then people just refuse to go farming anymore, and then your farms get unemployment issues. Dirty industry, that's pretty much follows the number of factories I have, and then manufacturing slowly increase over time. So the manufacturing, again, it's kind of matching the medium wealth residential, and then high tech I've got a little bit, not too much. That little blip at the end there, that's when I put in this little section here. If we zoom in, this little section here, this is high wealth stuff, or the high tech stuff. So you can see the three symbols there. And I've been demolishing any manufacturing and dirty industries that try to build here, just to keep the pollution away. It doesn't really work all that well, but it's okay. So we've got a little bit of high tech stuff at the end. So yeah, graphs, squiggly lines on a page, interesting stuff. If you're interested in that sort of stuff. Okay, it's not that interesting. But I don't know, maybe you're a demographer or something and you're interested in numbers. Alright, again, water pollution, similar to air pollution, doesn't really mean very much with a single number like that. But there's you can see the farms So the farms dramatically increase the pollution, and then the factories increase the pollution a little bit, and then when they demolish the factories, they decline again a little bit. Things like that. Garbage. So we have capacity and garbage. So we have capacity is how many, how much landfill area you have, and then the garbage is how much is produced. Total garbage is actually not production, my bad. Total garbage is how much garbage is in the city. So either on the side of the road if you don't have a collection system, or in the rubbish dump if you do. And if the city's population remains constant, what happens is eventually, this line, the total garbage, the light blue line, will level off, because eventually the garbage generated will match the amount of garbage disappearing from your landfill, because your landfill will actually disappear some garbage every month. It's a bit strange, that makes no sense even if it's saying it like that. But in the game, in the simulation, when you put garbage in the garbage dump, some of it disappears every month, and so if your garbage dump is big enough, then eventually the total garbage will just level off, and then you reach equilibrium, if that makes sense. Does that make sense? That's so odd. It is nothing like in real life, of course. Education, surprisingly, not really increasing. I mean, we increased, so quite a dramatic increase earlier on, but then more recently it's fairly steady. I mean, the thing is, once you I don't know why, because I've got the elementary school and I've got the high school. So I guess 80 is high school education, or about high school education. That's about 80. I built the college, quite recently, and so that hasn't really had any effect just yet. And then as you see that kind of dip in the middle there, that's when I built the second set of residential stuff. So the new people moving in are kind of slightly less intelligent than the people already living here. But then, it increases slowly over time. So it's about, oh my bad, it's about 100, maybe 100 is high school education. So it will slowly increase to 100 if you have a high school, and then you need a college to go any higher than that. I think that's what it means. So if we kind of keep playing this, we'll see what happens later on. Education by age. Well, everything I just said doesn't make any sense anymore. I don't understand how 10-year-olds can have 80 education and then not get any smarter. I think this is kind of wrong. This makes no sense, right? How is it that your 10-year-olds can be as smart as your 40-year-olds? I don't know what that means. I have no idea what that means. Population by age, interesting graph, but you can see here that there's a lot fewer children than there are working age people. So I don't know, does that mean the population is unsustainable? Does it mean that children aren't being born here and that we're relying on immigration to keep the population up? I think that's what it means. Again, I can't really make sense of this graph. And the thing is, my city has not reached equilibrium. It is fairly recent. It's only 16 years old. So obviously nobody's born and died in my city. Nobody's lived their entire lifespan in my city yet. So my city is nowhere near equilibrium. So these numbers might not make any sense because of that. Life expectancy, slowly increasing. Let me just see that. So that's when I built this. It doesn't really matter. So they come in at 55, and the clinics are pushing up, or the health centers are pushing up, close to 70. It's not too bad. They come in at 55. That's kind of, I don't know what the rest of the country is doing, but 55 is pretty bad. But anyway, so the 70, not too bad. Could be better, but we're still starting out. Average income. Now this is gentrification at work, I guess. Wow, they come in with average income of 17 or 18,000 I mean, consider when this game was made and then inflation and all that, so it's still kind of depressing though. 17,000. But we're pushing almost to 35,000 now, so people are getting quite rich. Not really, in the greater scheme of things. They're getting a lot richer than before, we can say that much. And that obviously is tied into the jobs and population, so you see how that number there, and then that number there, you see how the medium wealth is growing there, and that translates into that, basically. City income expenses, that's your tax. Your taxes and your expenditures. So I'm actually making more and more money over time, which is interesting. I mean, as I said, when I start off, I will put in the clinics and schools. Well, not the high school. I'll put in an elementary school and a clinic. So that's a medical center. I usually put in the medical clinic early on. So I give them these services from the start, and then water and power. So when I play, usually I don't make very much money at the start because I'm giving people more services than they really need. But I haven't increased the quality of the service very much over time. But then more people move in and their wealth increases because of the healthcare and education. So I'm getting more taxes over time, but my expenditure isn't really increasing all that much over time. You see how that works? So I start off, paying more money, but that's investing in the future, I guess, and then I get dividends later on. Yeah, so that's actually doing quite well. I think the rush hour update to SimCity 4 has made it a lot easier to make money in this game. I mean, it made it a lot easier to balance your income and expenses. If I remember right, the taxes in the original game, they were set to 7%. But you don't actually need to set them to 7%. The game actually runs optimally at 9% tax rate. So in the original game, it actually kind of hobbles you right at the start because the taxes are set wrong. And as a beginner, when you first start playing SimCity 4, you don't go look at the taxes, right? Boring. Taxes are boring. So you just kind of start building and you lose money. You don't know why. And maybe that kind of puts you off the game. But what you really should do in the original game is go to your taxes and set everything to 9%. Because everyone's still happy at 9%. Like nobody's complaining too much. And then you get enough money to actually run your services, which is kind of funny. Funds up and down a little bit. So you start off, oh actually I'm making money, that's good. So you can see there, actually no, what happened there? Look at this huge spike going on there. Why? So I think what happened like in the middle, so I was gathering money, and then I built the second set of residential areas, and that was the decline right in the middle. And then once I built that, people started moving in and paying taxes, so then I get more profit. And then after that, I don't remember what I did to use up all that money again. I think I might have started demolishing some dirty industry. I know I built the rubbish dump. I know I built some other things as well. So there's actually not much point hoarding money unless you're planning for a massive expansion later on. And gradual expansion is usually better than sudden expansion anyway. So it's actually in this game there's not too much point hoarding money. Although having said that, a power plant costs $10,000, and this thing has an age on it. Like if you look at it, so the efficiency and the plant condition. So the plant condition is 96. As the plant gets older, the condition will decrease, and so at some point you need to replace it because it's just not efficient anymore. And so if you don't have $10,000 to replace it, then you're in trouble. Anyway, so I got money. I'm quite happy with the income, especially since the income is doing quite well. I'm making like 2,000 simoleons every month, which is a lot. RCI demand, the residential, commercial, industrial demand. So as you can see there's always poor people wanting to come in to the city, and I've said this before, in the real world you can't stop them. They just come in and set up slums. I guess in developed countries it won't happen as much, but in developing countries you get slums, and that's kind of not good. A problem really. So poor people always wanting to move into the city, especially if you have a successful city. And but I've kind of overbuilt the commercial and the industrial a little bit. I mean, it doesn't really matter if you kind of, I mean, by overbuilt I mean I've allocated it too much kind of zones for those. What you want, you kind of, I think you want to do that because if the demand is positive, what it means is you've got unexploited tax income potential. Does that make sense? Like people want to build more businesses there. They want to pay you more taxes, but you're not giving them space to do so. So having that is kind of a waste of money. Like there's money you could be earning that you're not earning. I think that's what it means. So I've kind of overbuilt it a little bit, just to kind of get all the money I can get out of that. And residential, I don't know how much more I want to expand. I think I've kind of built this in a bad place. I think if I demolish this and move it somewhere else, I can kind of fit one more there, or maybe I can like fit a residential circle thing there and there. Maybe I'll build one more there at some point, or maybe like down here. There's a cemetery there though. There's less stuff here. I'll probably build it here, so I can do that if I want. Just have to decide whether I want to or not. Yeah, I won't repeat the issue about the unconstrained demand or the unconstrained growth assumption. Like the game will allow you to grow your city. You can see that demand. I don't think that ever goes down. So as long as you let people build, they'll build bigger and bigger cities in this game, which is not always realistic in the real world. Mayor rating is fairly high all the way through, slightly increasing over time, but pretty high. So that's pretty easy to, like, there's no elections or anything. It's not like it means anything, the mayor rating. Traffic volume. This again is not as important as commute time, which is congestion. So you can see, pedestrians, that's interesting. So you can see most people are walking. I mean, most people are driving, my bad. Most people are not walking. Not sure what happened there, but people kind of started walking a little bit and then stopped. I don't know what that means. Yeah, I seriously don't know what that means. No buses, no subways, nothing else. There's freight, which is just, that increasing over time. And nothing else is important. Alright, so that's all your numbers. That's all your numbers for this game. Should we look at... So environment is not great, but healthcare and education are very good apparently. Safety is not good because the police coverage is not good, and the fire coverage is not good. Traffic is great. Land value is doing alright. So we can look at these numbers. So I've shown you this, taxes. 9% is pretty much right. The tutorial does say that at some point you can increase the taxes on dirty industry to eliminate them from your city. I think I can start doing that right now. I can afford to do it. I won't though. I'm just gonna leave that there. City ordinances, these are interesting. You can adjust things in your city, like legalize gambling, and if you look at the details, you can see that what it does, open the doors for casino operators to set up business. Deals can be cut with casino operators for income, but these come at the cost of local mayor rating and potential crime elements. So they actually tell you what the trade-offs are. So you get increased crime, lower mayor rating, where you get increased income, so you can get an extra 100 simoleons a month, like that. So CPR training increases the health and well-being of your sims. So it improves health, but so it costs you 119 per month, but you increase health a little bit. Water conservation. So all of these things, they basically do what they say. The neighborhood watch reduces crime. So free clinic improves healthcare. for poor people. And then power conservation reduces power use. I've got the Clean Air Act to reduce air pollution a little bit. I don't know how effective these things actually are. Like, they don't ever report to you how much you actually reduce by doing that. Again, like these numbers that are going on in the game that they don't tell you about. Right, so that's the ordinances. Neighborhood deals. If there are neighboring cities, you can sell water and power, or buy rubbish, and you get money for doing stuff like that. Or you can do the other way around, so you can buy power and buy water, and then give them money. So as you build more and more cities, you can kind of specialize a bit. What some people do is they build the coal-fired power plant in a neighboring city and just leave it there, and don't even play it, and then they buy the power from that, so they trade money for power, and they don't have to deal with the air pollution from the coal-fired power plant. So you can kind of cheat the system a little bit doing things like that, and you can like export all the garbage, and so put all the pollution in like a neighboring city and not care about it. But I usually don't do that because I don't see too much point. Business deals are, there's some special rewards and business deals, and you can get money, but they come at a cost. I don't have any activated at the moment because my budget is positive, so they don't offer anything at the moment. Transport departments, so the mass transit fares, and there's the road tolls that you can do for income. And then for expenditure, transport department, let's go back to there. So you can see the roads, how much money they're costing every month. So I got avenues and roads mostly. I think I've actually overbuilt the roads, to be honest, because the traffic is, there's no congestion, and I'm paying a lot of money. Although, I'd rather do that than have congestion, to be honest. So mass transit, you can, adjust the funding for that on the maintenance. It's a bad idea to reduce maintenance on roads because your roads will actually start to fall apart, and it's actually not good for your city to reduce fundings on roads. Like, of all the things you can reduce funding on, don't do the roads, really. Public safety, so you got fire department and police department. So I've got, 2 of each. Not too interesting. Health and education, so same thing there. You can use this to adjust the funding, but like these sliders aren't very. I usually often complain about having to go through all the buildings and click on all of them and check the quality in all of them and adjust the funding. You can kind of go into the budget here and do the slider things in here. I haven't really done that before, and partly it's because, look, if I play with this a little bit, 719, like you can slide this, and the numbers don't change until you let it go. So 719 was, and you see it's kind of fiddly. It's not very. Yeah, it's kind of difficult to control, isn't it? So I'm not too happy about the interface of the game with regard to this. I mean, it'd be great if we had one spreadsheet of all your city services and all the funding levels, and it's actually easy to use. So imagine, so basically it's like that slider and these numbers, but just put that in a big spreadsheet, and you can just kind of fill all of them in one page instead of having to click through the whole city. That would be great if they did that. I don't think they will right now, though. So sanitation department, that's the landfill and the pickup and delivery, so that's the rubbish. We got the power, and then we got water, power pumps and water towers and then whatnot. Ordinances we looked at, neighborhood deals, beautification. So I've got the farmers market, that's a demand cap buster. I got 3 community gardens, those are demand cap busters too, although I don't know if they actually do anything. So I don't actually have very many parks. You can build all sorts of parks, of course. I don't have room for a beach, but you can put in like a medium park green and things like that, and they're all demand cap busters. Government budget, mayor's house, mayor's statue, city hall, these are also demand cap busters, and they cost you money. They don't actually do anything in game. Let's see, there's the church there, I don't pay for that. I pay for the mayor's house, and I pay for the city hall, and I forgot where I put the statue. but they don't, aside from demand cap, they don't actually do anything. And you can take out loans if you really need to. You have to pay interest. So let's say let's see, 10-year loan, $5,000. You pay $61 per month to pay back. So there's interest in all that, and it's not all that. I don't know. I don't use it very much. Maybe I should. All right. So that's all the numbers and charts and graphics for you to understand what's going on in your city. And we still haven't started playing yet. Is this game too complicated? Is this too much stuff? I don't know, maybe it is for some people. Although I think once you kind of get an idea of what's going on here, it's actually not a bad simulation of real-world urban planning. I mean, you see all the data you need to make decisions. You do all these numbers. So with all this data, then you can start making decisions on how to design a city, or not design, how to kind of lay out the city, and things to consider when you are laying out or planning a city. I can't think of anything else to say. All right, I guess I'll end it here. Next video we'll start building a city. We won't play this one. Let me just save and quit. And I don't think I'll play this region neither. I don't know. Maybe I will. Because I want to experiment with the cities. I don't know if I should play here or if I should play somewhere else. So you can see the different sizes you can play on. Big cities are not easy to play. So that's usually the best thing. Like small cities are kind of too small. You can't really do much with it. The medium size is usually the easiest to play. I don't know if I want to... Okay, I will. I guess I will. I'll play this one for this series of videos. Alright, now stop talking and see you guys later.